Welcome to the Arsenal show. We're here at last. Sorry for the delay. We had a few technical issues, but we're here now, and that's the main thing. Welcome to the Arsenal show, brought to you by KS1 TV. Kieran's having a well-deserved rest, so I'm taking over from him tonight. Before we start, please click that subscribe button and also the like button. Means a lot to us, so be much appreciated. And if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter or Twitch, come over here, come over to YouTube, subscribe. It's much more cozier than over there, I can assure you, than over there. So let's get this party started. Excuse the pun. It's first of all, Jerome, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, all fine, thanks very much. Looking forward to the end of the international break and seeing the team back in action again. Not too long to wait now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Have you been enjoying it? Been enjoying the international break?
You know what? Back in the day, when we had a lot of players like playing for France, it used to be quite enjoyable and like watching the Arsenal players on international duty. But at the moment, not a lot of our players are sort of playing regularly for their countries, so yeah, it's not as enjoyable, if you know what I mean. When all our players are playing, it's like, say, I think tonight England are playing, but none of our players are involved, so it's sort of you're not as bothered, I suppose.
I mean, Emil Smith-Rowe got one yesterday for us, didn't he? So he seems to be carrying on from the form that he left Arsenal with. Yeah. But look, let's get the show started. It's a jam-packed one this morning. There's quite a lot to talk about. So let's get going. Oxlade-Chamberlain, former Arsenal player. Bit flattered to deceive sometimes when he played for Arsenal. Never really got going. Had problems with injuries. But to be fair to him, it wasn't really his fault. But we've heard rumours recently that he could be on his way back to Arsenal. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a little chat to see what should he come back? Should he not come back? Jerome. Yeah. What's your feelings on Oxlade-Chamberlain coming back to Arsenal?
Yeah, you know what? A few years ago, I could probably see this type of deal happening. We used to enjoy bringing back our former players, didn't we?
Yeah.
But, look, since he's moved to Liverpool, you know what? You sometimes forget he even plays for them, don't you? You sometimes forget the Ox is part of the Liverpool team. He's obviously not a regular, they've got a great team anyway. But if you look at, I guess, the number of games he's played over the last few seasons, you're talking a handful of games, aren't you? And the way that, we seem to be moving in this positive direction, I think it would be a step back for us taking a former player that hasn't exactly lit up the Premier League the last few seasons. I don't think that's the sort of maybe quality level we should be going for. Also, what doesn't help Chamberlain is his injury record, isn't it, Steve? Like, he's got a lot of the reason I think he's missed games. Obviously, he might be down the pecking order slightly at Liverpool, but he's always injured. He's always injured. I mean, on his day though, he can really make an impact. The Ox, he's got a lot of ability. But I can't see it. I can't see it happening, and I think we've got quite a few players in that he's like attacking midfield, and we've sort of got quite a few of those, haven't we? So I don't think positionally it's the sort of player we need. What do you reckon?
No, I don't think it's a good idea to bring Oxlade-Chamberlain back. I'm not one for, only on rare occasions and for you know, if like these, you know, if we're desperate for in a certain position, then maybe, and if a player's on form and they're playing well and they've used to play for Arsenal and they want to come back, then fine. But I don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain's someone who, you know, like you said, you know, stands out, that someone you want to bring back. You know, there's been players in the past like, you know, Cazorla, and it was Fabregas and Giroud even to a degree, where you would go, yeah, they can come in, they can give something to the side still. But I don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain is one of those. I mean, he started off well at Liverpool, didn't he? I mean, he was flying at first, and you know, all Arsenal fans were thinking, "Oh, here we go again." But do you still feel that the 30 million that we got rid of him for was you know, well spent?
Yeah, well, I think they'd done well to get that money for him. He wasn't. Well, I think just before he left the Ox, I think he started playing in central midfield, and he looked pretty good there. But then he never held down a regular place, really, did he? I think for that famous cup final when we won against Chelsea at Wembley, I think he played like left wing back. He just got moved all over the place. He's one of those players, Steve, where because he's so versatile, it probably doesn't do him any favours long term, and a bit like Maitland-Niles, I suppose, where they don't really hold down a place because they can play in so many positions. The manager sort of makes use of it, and
Did you feel he was a player that was kept on too long by Arsenal? You know, should he have been sold before?
I don't know. I don't think there would have. I think they got amazing money for him, Arsenal. I don't think they were ever really in the position where. I don't think any bids maybe came in for him before we actually got rid of him. And it's a shame because, you know, when you have a young English player with a lot of potential, you sort of want to see him do well. And for some reason, I think obviously, like we said, injuries played a part. It just never really worked out for him. I don't know if you remember, there was a famous Henry interview when he left Arsenal and joined Liverpool. Oxlade-Chamberlain came out in the press and said that he was excited to work with Klopp, and he could see after like the first few training sessions, he could see what difference Klopp had sort of made to him. And Henry had a bit of a pop at the Ox and said, like, I've watched him play for a few years and I don't actually know like what he's good at. And I think that's slightly true in some ways. But it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean another player who's come back to the club, who similar to Oxlade-Chamberlain, who was riddled with injuries through his whole career, is now back at the club. He's training with the first team, and that's Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
I mean, is it worth having him back? Are we having him back just for Jack? Which, by all means, I mean, Jack's a legend at Arsenal Football Club, a massive name, and why not help him out if we can? But is he really going to do anything as far as Arsenal are concerned? Is he someone who's going to help the kids? Is he someone who's going to maybe get a game? What do you feel about that, John? Yeah.
I can't see them giving him a contract to play in the first team. I just think his body isn't, unfortunately, it's not cut out for the Premier League anymore, especially in the position he plays. And like he's someone he obviously burst on the scene, so much talent. Everyone thought that people were saying he's going to be like the next Gaza, weren't they? They really thought a lot of him. I think that he obviously had an interview, didn't he, recently, Wilshere, where he came out, and I think a lot of people felt, I think people feel sorry for him, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why Arsenal have allowed him to sort of come back and train and just be in and around the place. But I can't see him. I can't see him playing in the first team. Whether he's a good,
No, it was just another question on top of that, Jerome, which something you just said there. I mean, do you see? I mean, he's been mentioned as a role model to come in to help the young players. What about that? Is Jack a role model who can come in and help the young players, or is that just something Arteta's saying?
Yeah, I don't know if he's a role model, but people, youngsters just sort of breaking through now. Maybe not Saka and Smith Rowe because they've already broken into the first team, but maybe the people that are just underneath that, the likes of your Charlie Platinos.
Yeah.
Maybe just to see him, maybe Jack Wilshere just being there can sort of inspire them. And it's just another person that's come from the youth team and made it into the first team. And, you know, it can't, I don't think it can do much harm. I don't think there's much downside having Wilshere there. It's not as if he's going to be a terrible influence on any of the players. He's going to cause unrest in the dressing room. And you know what? Wilshere probably is really appreciative the fact that he's there. I mean, I don't think a lot of other clubs would just let some of their former players come and train with the first team, if you know what I mean. At Arsenal, it seems to happen a lot, and it's quite nice. It's quite nice that they do that.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure of it at first. I was like, well, because there was talk about him playing, which I thought was ridiculous to be, you know, people in the comments, if you think any different, Lee, please let us know on Jack and Oxlade. But I thought that was a ridiculous thing. I couldn't see how he would come back into it. I thought that would be going backwards, and there was a lot of Arsenal fans getting quite excited over it, which I failed to see. But as a man, I feel that he's grown up. Yeah. I feel that he's not the Jack Wilshere of, say, 5, 6, 7 years ago when he was in front of the papers and he was standing on the front of the Islington Town Hall singing Tottenham Are. We all know what he said. You know, we probably don't want that type of a role model. But I think Jack's changed, and I don't think Mikel Arteta would have let him come back unless he knew that. Because he's pretty strict on certain things. So, yeah, I think if he wants to come back and he wants to train and he wants to get his badges and we're helping him out, I think that's fine. But as far as playing and as that, then definitely not. And again, with that Oxlade-Chamberlain, again, definitely not. So as much as we love Jack, as much as we loved Alex, I'm afraid that we just wish they a happy career and, you know, go on to somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I could a few years ago, I could see us making maybe one of these signings. I mean, we did it with with Lehman, didn't we? Brought him back. We brought Sol Campbell back. Flamini came back. We've got a history of doing this, of bringing players back that used to play for us, even if they were right near. Not saying the Ox is near the end of his career, but he's you know, Wilshere again. But yeah, I think at the moment where we are, I don't think they're the sort of players, disregarding their history, they're the sort of players that we sort of need at the moment. I mean, Wilshere, look, we all love him. He's going to be lucky to find a club in any division, isn't he? Let alone playing for a team that are trying to, you know, push up in the Premier League. I feel sorry for him because it's not. I don't think it's his talent that's setting him back. It's just his body, and he can't really do too much about it. He's just been kicked from pillar to post, and it's just obviously had a big effect on him, which is, as I said, it's not nice to see, and it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I mean, like you know, hit that like and subscribe button. Even though Kieran's got the day off, please do that. Saves me saying it. And Johnny has just said Ox definitely not. So are we 100% agreed on Jack and Ox not coming back to the club then, and Jerome?
Yeah, I think so. I guess the Ox is obviously a player that's you got more chance of than Wilshere in terms of maybe a bit ability and being at the level required, but it's just a backward step, isn't it?
This is Kieran. I hope you're enjoying your day off today, Kieran. He says, I don't think they should come back, but it's not just Arsenal that brings players back. A lot of clubs do and have done it. And they haven't they? And they've been successful. So, yeah, but I just think, not for Arsenal. It's like I said at the beginning, certain players at certain times, then fine. But I don't think, especially these two, not for now anyway.
Bringing those back, they're decisions that are done with the heart, aren't they? And I think we're at the stage where it's all well and good making decisions with the heart, but for us, we need to use our head, don't we? And
exactly. Exactly. Well, look, let's move on. We're going to stay in with the midfield. It's been a problem for Arsenal for, I was going to say, the last 6 months then, but it's not, is it? It's been for the last 3, 4, 5 years, and it just seems to be, continuing. And as soon as we seem to get something a little bit, close to it being right, we have problems. We've just had the injury of Granit Xhaka, and whether you hate him, whether you like him, and he certainly divides opinion, that's for sure. He is going to be a loss at this moment in time. Jerome, the midfield, what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well,
there's no Xhaka.
Yeah.
I mean, and later on, we're going to be losing January. We're going to be losing Partey, Pepe, El Nene. We're in trouble, mate. What are we going to do?
Yeah. So, with regards to January, there's a chance that Xhaka could be back by then. So it's not as if we'll only have Lokonga available. There's a big argument, isn't there, at the moment, just to have a straight swap with Xhaka for Odegaard, to put Odegaard in that position.
Yeah.
That's something that seems to have worked partially with Odegaard, Partey and Smith Rowe in the midfield. So that's something that Arteta could try. Obviously, he's got Lokonga. I think we're past the stage of seeing El Nene. Hopefully, he's just there as a very, very much a backup option. But
you're right.
I don't know if they're going to go into the market in January, because I don't know. It's going to be a tough decision to make.
I mean, your decisions are, if Xhaka is back, if he's not, we're in serious trouble. If he has a breakdown or something, or he comes back into training and after a few, I mean, how many times have we seen that? They come back after a long injury and then they break down after a few days. It's been known, and it's just like Arsenal that type of thing would happen to. And so where do you look? You've already mentioned there, Odegaard could come in and play as the 8. We've got Lokonga who could drop in. This is of the now anyway. But this moment in time, you're looking at Partey and are you looking at Partey and Odegaard at the moment? Are you looking at Partey and Lokonga at the moment?
I think he's going to. Well, Arteta seems to be a very tactical coach, so I think he'll do it sort of on a game by game basis. I think he'll look at the game and see which pairing or which triplet he prefers to put in the midfield. I would like to see Odegaard a bit deeper, because I think he gets involved more when he's there, and the game doesn't really bypass him as much.
Yeah,
that's what I'd like to see. It might be too attacking for some people, perhaps, but if that's the case, I think you just have to tell Partey to maybe not go crazy and just to be more disciplined. He can do it. It's not as if he was an attacking midfielder at Madrid. It's just that he's a player that has got the ability to go forward, but he doesn't have to, go bombing on every minute of every game. So I think you can play Odegaard deeper. I think he's an intelligent footballer, isn't he? He's an intelligent footballer, and he's someone who you can trust. I think so. I think so.
But we'll stick with the midfield for a minute for a while. Emil Smith Rowe, we see him score again. It must be his third goal in just a handful of games. ever since we sort of said, well, Kieran said, we all said that he needed to score more goals. Yeah. He must have been watching the programme.
Yeah.
So well done there, Emil. Party's got one against for his club. So I wish he would have waited, because that's probably going to mean now we're going to have to wait another 3-4 months for him to score another one. He's up, probably like, I just hope he don't turn out like a bit of a John Jensen.
Yeah,
John Jensen, he scored one goal and that was that, and then that was it.
I went to that game.
Oh, you was there?
I was there.
Yeah. And of course, Saka scored one for England.
Yeah, good goal.
So midfield players seem to be finding the net, but not at the Emirates or in an Arsenal shirt. But do you think this is a good sign?
It is. Look, it's great, but at the same time, I think Saka scored his goal against Andorra. I think one of his goals was against Zimbabwe. These aren't the greatest international teams in the world.
Bring us back down to earth, Jerome.
Yeah. Look, it's great that they're scoring. Good for their confidence. But what really matters is what they do when they put on the shirt with the cannon on it. That's what really matters. But nice. It's obviously a good sign. You'd rather them be scoring wherever they are than not, wouldn't you?
It might give them a bit of confidence, mightn't it?
Exactly.
If anything, normally you would say, well, they just scored a goal playing against inferior opposition, which is, to be fair, is what they did. But in any sort of level of football, when you get that goal, it does make you be more confident when you go and play the following week. So, as you just said there, Jerome, it's not a bad thing. It can only be, it can only be better than not scoring, especially where we need to score goals. So, let's hope that they continue on Monday night, and a couple of them can stick the ball in the back of the net against Crystal Palace, which we need, or which we won't talk about today. We'll talk about in the preview. But as you say, can only be a good thing. A good thing. In the week, there was on Sky, we had former Arsenal forward Paul Merson and Jamie Carragher. They were speaking on a football show. And they said they was actually complimentary to Arsenal. Yeah, people don't faint in the comments. Just pick yourself up. They actually was complimentary, and they said that Arsenal could be the team to watch, and the other side should be careful with them when they play them. Now, are they jumping the gun? Do you feel that there's something in it? What do you think? Was they talking out their backsides, which is what they're normally doing? So
it's amazing how quickly people's opinions can change, because they definitely weren't saying that 4 weeks ago. They were probably saying Arsenal were the team to watch, they could get relegated, rather than Arsenal were the team to watch, they could sneak into the Champions League spaces. I'll take what these pundits say with a pinch of salt, to be honest. Sometimes they say things just to, I don't know, be different, or to have people talking about them. From what we've seen, we've had a good couple of performances, or definitely a good performance against Spurs, and picked up some points, obviously in the 2 games before that. But our performances weren't fantastic. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I mean, the optimistic fan obviously is thinking to themselves, "Yeah, come on, we are going to push on, and we have turned the corner." But I think like we've said before, we've watched us play for long enough now that there's a couple of positive signs, little rays of hope, but it hasn't totally swung in a super positive way so far, has it? There's just been glimpses, and until we see a prolonged run of really good performances, And like you said, Steve, like the midfielders chipping in with goals until we see like a good maybe 10-game run of really good performances. Then I'll be like, right, we've got something here. I mean, I think that all the Arsenal fans can probably agree that the defence is now looking very good.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got some very good attacking players, but I still think people are rightly concerned that, we're not scoring loads of goals, we're not creating loads of chances. And I think the Arsenal fans that have watched us recently understand really that that's if they're, put their level head on, understand that there's still loads of areas where we need to improve. And I don't know if you're going to come onto it later, perhaps, but one certain team in the North East has just got a bucket load of money, and that's going to be some further competition for us. So we've had some positive signs. But we've got a lot of competition already. There's going to be some more in terms of other teams we're competing with. And I think I wouldn't jump the gun too much at the moment. That's not me trying to be negative. It's just me being sort of realistic. And, when these international breaks come along, you've got a bit of time, haven't you, to think about what you've seen. And, you let the dust settle. And, I mean, I've to be careful. Yeah, you have to be careful. Arsenal on their day are a top side, and I think 1 to 11 they probably can beat anybody if they're playing at their best. So if that's what they mean by being careful, I mean careful can mean quite a lot of quite a large range of different things. So. I think they chose their word quite carefully there. I mean, if they're talking about Arsenal going to get into Champions League, no, there's nothing to be careful about that. That's not going to happen. And we all know, Johnny's just put here, and this is the main reason. The squad is very thin, and it is very thin. Yeah. Our first 11 probably, like I just said, can be a match for anybody. But once you get a couple of players injured, like we have, even one player injured, then we seem to, be falling apart and worrying about who to bring in. And it's because, like Johnny said, the squad is very, very thin. We won't get carried away. We know where we are. We know what we got to do. Arteta, I feel, knows what he's got to do. The thing what Arteta's got to do is he's got to get in the Europa League this season. That is, I feel, is his like what his aim is. Because sadly, I think if he doesn't get into the top 7, top 8 this season, I think he'll get the sack. Because I don't think Arsenal Football Club can have 2 seasons out of Europe, and that's not me saying that he's going to want. I want him to get the sack, or I would sack him. I just think that's what they would do, and but we can be careful. Yeah, if we've got like 11 best players on the pitch and we're playing our best on the day, yeah, definitely. But I'll tell you what, Steve. I'll tell you what could save Arteta if they do finish 7th or 8th or even 9th. Right? He's sort of got a get out of jail free card with the fact that it's a very young team, and the excuse he can make is that look, it's a young group of players. We're going to get better, and that's sort of a card that he has up his sleeve, I think. And I think that's something that could save him, even if they finish something like 10th. It's a terrible position for us, but I think he's got like circumstances and talking about the squad and it's going to improve over time, and we're not expecting this team to be great immediately. I think that could save him, and I think he's got a lot of backing from Edu and from the Cronkies, that unless it goes really spectacularly wrong, I think Arteta will be here for a few seasons.
Yeah, what would you be happy with, Jerome? Before we go on to the next next thing?
They've got to be challenging. They've got to be seriously challenging for the Europa League places.
And if they don't,
I don't think he'll go. But I just think it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. But again, with my sort of serious, logical head on, we're competing with some proper teams out there. Like, you're not finishing above Man City and Chelsea, so first and second is gone. Liverpool won the league a couple of seasons ago. United has spent bucket loads of money. Like, that's sort of 4 teams, and you haven't even started yet. You haven't even kicked off. So it's really the competition. I think is a lot more fierce than it was like 10, 15 years ago. There's just so many teams near the top of the league that are spending money and have got really good players. There's, the competition is really tough. But what I think needs to happen is the performances, because fans aren't stupid, and if they can see the performances are getting a lot better, I think that they'll get behind Arteta. If they can see that the performances are crap and the results aren't that good, even with this young team, I think people would, like, it gets a bit toxic, doesn't it, sometimes? And I think that's something that might maybe not force Arteta out, but there'll be a lot of pressure from the fans if that's the case. Yeah, well,
you're talking about, there's quite a few teams, that we've got to, compete with this season, and there might be another one coming up on the rails, which is only going to make Arsenal's job a lot harder as the seasons go on. A takeover of Newcastle United in a £300 million deal, which I thought was quite cheap, actually. I don't know why. I mean, maybe I've got my sums wrong, but I thought that was quite cheap. But anyway, which was bought out by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. There's been a lot of, people saying that due to human rights that this shouldn't have happened and the Premiership shouldn't have let it happen, but it has. So that's that. And this, what will happen in time, Jerome, is that this will turn Newcastle into literally the biggest club on the planet. I mean, these people, they've invested in Disney, they've Uber, Facebook, Starbucks. Although I can't see many Georges celebrating their new wealth with a cup of coffee, but but it does look like the next manager is going to be getting a blank checkbook to literally go and buy who they want. So how's this going to affect Arsenal, Jerome?
God, it's not good news for Arsenal, is it? Like you said, it's just another team that we're going to compete with on the pitch. When it first happened with, I don't know if it was Chelsea or Man City, because Chelsea were quite a good team before Abramovich came, but Man City, like, they'd been in the Championship, they'd been in League One, hadn't they, before they came back to the Premier League. And I think when the owners first came into Man City, I think they bought Robinho, and a lot of people thought, it's Man City, like, they're not going to seriously challenge. But look what's happened.
Yeah.
And I think people probably think the same with Newcastle. It's only Newcastle. No one's really going to want to go there. They're not really going to buy the best players. It'll take a while for them to get, a really strong team that will be able to challenge. But money talks, and it's going to these people that have come to buy Newcastle, they're not going to be looking to sign £5 or £10 million players anymore. They're serious. Like they make Man City's owners look like absolute paupers. The amount of wealth that they've got, I think it's maybe 7 or 8 times the wealth of Man City's owners. And we know Man City have got bottomless pockets. So these guys, it's another level. It's a real another level. It's it's hard. It's going to be really hard to compete.
I think what you said, Jerome, about money talks is how football is these days now.
Yeah.
People say they're scoffing about Haaland and Mbappe and things like this, and okay, but if Haaland sees a couple of decent players coming in there and they've signed them, and they sell him the package, or I think Mbappe's future's already signed and sealed. I mean, he's at Madrid already. He's already said so maybe that one's. But these top players, I think they might go. The people seem to be banging them off with the Ramses and the Coutinhos and the Iscos and the people who are. I'm saying these players. I would have liked these at the beginning of the season, but no. Look, they're putting the names against these to Newcastle United, but I genuinely don't think that these are the type of players they're going to be great. I think they're going to go big. If they've got a blank checkbook, if they've got a good person there who can sell them that package to come to that club. We've seen it happen with players in the past. We've had it ourselves. We've had it with players. We had Mesut Ozil and we had Dennis Bergkamp, and we was all like, oh my God, how did we get them here? But you get sold the package, and we have got one saving grace, and Johnny might have cracked it on the head there, that we've just got to hope that the top draw players are prepared to go and live in Newcastle. But any Newcastle people that are watching, I've been to Newcastle, and it's quite lovely, So yeah,
look, the amount of money that these players are going to get offered. If you said to a footballer, go and live on a, I've got to be careful with my words. Go and live on a proper derelict island for 3 years, but come back in 3 years. Come back, and you're going to have 60 million quid in your back pocket. You'd probably go. Newcastle, it's a modern city. Yeah, they can do whatever they want there. They can still live in their £5 million house. They'll be, going to training every day. It's not as if they're going to live in some disgusting place that no one's ever lived in before. Yeah. And they're going to be guaranteed ton loads of money. And like you said, it's a very easy sell to these really big players like your Mbappe's, because it'll just be like, I wanted to be part of it. It's an exciting project. Where really we all know the real reason where they're going. It's nothing to do with the project. It's because they're going to probably be making 3 or 4 times the money that they would normally have. But that is the world we live in. Like you said, that's football these days. And they might go initially for your players like Ramsey and Coutinho, who are obviously players that they probably not in their wildest dreams would they think they would have had a chance of signing up until last week. But maybe they'll do it gradually. And with the thing is with Newcastle, if they've got all this money, they can sign players like Ramsey and Coutinho on really expensive contracts, right? And if it doesn't work out for them, it doesn't matter, because they've got loads of money and they can afford to have players that come in, cost a lot and fail, because it'll just be a conveyor belt for them. Whereas if we have a player come in, argument's sake, like a Pepe, and he costs a lot of money, that's an expensive deal for us, and it's harder for us to just sort of say, wipe our hands of Pepe and say, right, we'll take a £50 million loss. We can't do that. If Newcastle sign a player for 100 million and it doesn't work out for them, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect them.
Yeah. That's very true. But could this be? A lot of Arsenal fans are looking on the lines of, oh my God, Newcastle and they're going to be above us. We're definitely not going to get Europa League, and now there's going to be another club that we can't get past. That we're going to have that they're going to go to that club and not us, because obviously Newcastle now will have that extra pull. There's no doubt about that. As much as we love Arsenal, that That's a fact. But
Yeah.
something I just thought of. I mean, could it be a blessing in disguise? Could Newcastle, the guys coming in, giving Newcastle this blank checkbook, because we've got quite a rich owner ourselves, Jerome.
Yeah.
Who's at this moment in time just dropped to the third richest owner in football, behind obviously Prince Salman and the Man City Saudi brothers. I think they're brothers.
Yeah.
So could this wake up Kroenke?
That's a good question. I don't know, because the level of wealth that this guy's got compared to Kroenke, it like dwarfs him by a lot. You'd like to think it might, but if we can't get into a bidding war with Newcastle, can we? But maybe it give him a kick up the backside. Perhaps we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
What do you think, Steve? Do you think it will? Do you think it will affect Kroenke at all?
There's always that heart and head type of thing. I mean, in my heart, I think, come on, I think with anyone else it would. I think with anyone else it would. I think if you're a Roman Abramovich, if you're a Man City, even if you're a Glazers, I mean, they get a lot of stick, but they have put the money. They have given Man United the money. There's they can't deny that. I think if you was one of them, then I think they would react, and I think they will react. And I think if Kroenke doesn't react, I think not only will Newcastle, fly past us. I think teams like Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Manchester United, I think they will go further away from us. I think he has to. I think he has to, Jerome, because I just feel that this it could be, as I said, it could be that blessing in disguise, or it could be that the fact that he's seen them and just gone, no change, I'm just going to carry on with what I'm doing. And if that's his attitude and that's what he's going to do, then, I think, it certainly makes Mikel Arteta's job a lot harder than what it is already. Yeah. So, I mean, we've just got to hope that maybe this is something that will light the touch paper, and Kroenke will, go deep in his pockets, because I just genuinely believe that every other owner is going to, even Tottenham. I think they have to, Jerome, don't you? Don't you feel that all these other clubs now have to react? We've seen it with Man City when they bought Grealish. We see with Man United brought in Ronaldo. They all react to a player. Yeah, they always seem to react. Chelsea bring in Lukaku. They all seem to react when another one reacts. Yeah, and that's what you have to do to be successful. That's what I think.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be just putting our sort of Arsenal hat to the side from it. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see which players Newcastle do sign over the next couple of seasons. Like, are they really going to go and sign like a top established world-class player? Like, it's honestly like it's fascinating to see what's going to happen.
Part of me thinks, this is great. Who are they going to bring in? But then there's the other half thinking of what does that do to Arsenal? Because you're right. I mean, it is fascinating to see, who they're going to get, and who knows? They might have all. I'm pretty sure they've already got a few already, Jerome. But as I said, like a few minutes ago, the players that have been bandied about, I think that is not going to make. I get the point. What people are saying, that they're saying that they don't need to. They're saying that they don't need to sort of go and buy big, and they don't need to like go fly straight in, and they need to work it. Buy your Ramses, buy your risk, buy these type of players, your Tarkowski's at Burnley, all these type of players. Even like Vardy's been mentioned and all that. I don't think that's the case. If that, I would just go smash it. Just go and buy everyone up. Do what Blackburn did and just go and buy everybody. What you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you've got all that money, then just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, and good. And part of me says, good luck to him. Just got a comment here from Johnny. How you doing, Johnny? Newcastle have always been a hugely underperforming club with a huge fan base. We have seen with Man City that investment wins trophies and makes a club compete with the elite. Brilliant comment. Fantastic. Totally agree with that, John. Jerome, do you agree with that?
Yeah. Like you look back at the clubs that have had the money, and normally they end up becoming successful, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Happened with like you said, great shout. Blackburn, it happened with beginning of the Premier League era. Yeah. They spent money. City, Chelsea, obviously United have always got money. That's what happens unless you can do something like what Leicester done and really get your scouting top draw, and keep all your good players fit. Unfortunately, it's not the team that's got the most money wins, but they've got the team that's got the most money has got a very good chance of winning.
Yeah. I mean, and that's been like evident over the last few seasons. I mean, it's only really Leicester, and to a degree they bought as well. That season. I mean, not to the extent of what a Chelsea would do or Man City or Man United would do, but they still bought. So yeah, to win trophy, I totally agree with Johnny. Yeah. You need to buy to win these trophies. So yeah. But anyway, look, that's it for this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow with the transfer exchange show Wednesday at 8:00, and Kieran will be back in the chair for that, and then we're back. The internationals are over. The Premiership is back, so we're going to have preview shows on the Arsenal game, also the Man United game. So yeah, keep your eye out, keep an eye on that. Make sure you follow our channels. We follow our Twitter pages. We've got individual ones now for KS1 TV, Marie Bundesliga Minute, Arsenal Show, Manchester United, and of course the Transfer Exchange Show. So get on those. Plenty of stuff, plenty of videos, plenty of news. You don't know what you're missing. But Jerome, thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, of course. Cheers, Steve. Cheers for that.
Lovely, mate. So, and until next time, which is tomorrow, peace out, stay safe, and wash your hands.